Even the backers of the Ameren bill say, even if this passes, we have to pass legislation later repealing QIP. What I'm trying to tell you is we're dealing with early site permit legislation. That's what Ameren put in play. That's what they want. 2 years ago, they said we didn't need early site permit legislation and have the consumers pay for it. They wanted to outright repeal a QIP. 2 years ago, they said they had tax credits from the U.S. Energy Department and they had special breaks and loan incentives. Proved not to be true, but they said it. They didn't get it then, and now they want to come back because they spent all of this money trying and anticipating that cap and trade was going to pass, and then nuclear power would look more financially viable. Well, the whole world's changed. You had a guy named Manchin that's a Democrat from West Virginia that took a rifle and shot cap and trade in a campaign ad. And it's changed the whole complexion and manner of the U.S. Senate, both from a regulatory standpoint and a successfulness of the legislation standpoint. And it's changed many of these people's outlook on whether or not nuclear energy is going to be a viable energy source in the future. It may or may not be, but that's not the discussion that we're having, nor have we had all session long. The discussion that we've had and the legislation that's passed is whether or not the ratepayers are going to pay for the early site permit or if Ameren's investors are going to pay for the early site permit. And the issue becomes Ameren, in my committee, 7 hours of testimony, said they already spent $25 million of it with their own money, but they don't like that on their balance sheet. They want the ratepayers to go bail them out and pay for the rest of it. It's not that they can't go get the early site permit. It's not that anything prevents them from getting the early site permit. It's that they want other people's money to go pay for it. And if they want that, they're going to put consumer protections in the bill. Otherwise, let them go spend their own money. Now, they don't get reimbursed for any of that from the Public Service Commission until they actually build a baseload generation plant and turn the power switch on. Now, where I agree in a broader discussion of a broader repeal of QIP is it may make financial sense to do construction work in progress and not ban construction work in progress. 2 years ago during the debate, I offered an amendment to then Senator Delbert Scott, who was handling their bill then. Another person that doesn't pay Ameren rates, but wants to raise rates on Ameren payers. And I offered an amendment to him that said, open bracket, close bracket, repeal of QIP. It was rejected by Ameren and Senator Scott because they weren't interested in repealing QIP. They were interested in rewriting the Public Service Commission and the oversight and the consumer protections that were there. Have long history. I've been here. I've seen this before. Don't get fooled. They've already spent $25 million of their own. You telling me Ameren can't peel off another $15 million or get another $15 million from the co-ops or KCP&L and then come back to the General Assembly and talk about baseload generation? They don't want to do it. They want a $45 million bailout. They can buy the early site permit right now. It's just, do they want the consumers to pay for it or do they not? And you would never get to pass on the early site permit costs. You get to pass on construction costs under the current statute approved by a vote of the people once you flip on the power and prove that it works. Ameren has changed its story 3 times this session. First they said they wanted a full-blown nuclear bill. Now they're talking about modular nuclear technology that's coming forward. And I've even heard that them talking about coal-based scrubber technology now. So a coal-fired plant that has nothing to do with nuclear because they don't fear that cap and trade is going to pass. And only cap and trade, either in an administrative ruling or in a legislative ruling, makes it cost effective to look at nuclear technology from a construction standpoint. We just did Iodine 2 over there with KCP&L. Pre-cap and trade discussions, coal fire with clean scrubber technology was far cheaper in the way in which to go under a matrix-derived system than any modular nuclear or full-blown Callaway 2 nuclear plant type discussion. My bill is still in committee because they oppose it from where that is, but my version of that bill, I think, would be a version that can pass. Maybe it can't pass, I don't know, but I know Ameren's version carried by Senator Kehoe can't pass and won't pass.
And it's because it doesn't incorporate enough
Well,
consumer
it has no
protections.
consumer protections whatsoever. You know, it's not a shocking deal that a bunch of utilities got together and said, we want to raise rate to give us money. That's not an impressive coalition. What is an impressive coalition to me is the industrial groups and the consumer groups. Companies like Monsanto and Joan Bray agree with my bill. That's the impressive coalition. A bunch of utilities getting ready, gathering around, wanting to raise rates on us that live on the eastern side of the state, particularly those that won't even have the effects of this. If you live in southwest Missouri, that's like saying, let's raise taxes in Cape so Joplin can spend the money. Well, of course they're going to be for that. Why not have Cape raise taxes on Joplin and let Cape spend the money? It's a no-brainer. That's not an impressive coalition to me. That's not good legislation. That's not good legislative work. What is impressive is bringing in the coalition of large industrial users, consumer advocates, environmental groups, all of those that are a part of a coalition that endorse my bill. That's the impressive part. And if they want a bill to pass, those consumer advocates and those of us that live on the eastern side of the state that actually represent people that will pay these higher rates and have to live with the ramifications of what the rest of the state thinks they're going to do to us will have to be addressed, and that's what we're working through. And at the end of the day, if they don't want to address those things, then no bill will pass. If they do want to address those things, it's possible a bill can get passed.
When I write a story about this, it's not just about the limited conversation about, you know, early site permit or not. It becomes about how quickly Missouri will either get on board with building nuclear and getting it online, or continuing our coal dependency.
You need to go ask the governor, while in these secret negotiations with Ameren and the co-ops, where they came out and endorsed this early site permit, why they didn't have the broader discussion on the repeal of QUIP. It's because the governor said he would veto the bill if it repealed QUIP. That's what he said 2 years ago. So what does Ameren do? Well, $45 million is better than not being able to get an outright repeal of QUIP. So we'll go ahead and we'll follow the governor's lead, get ratepayers to bail us out to whatever, 45 million, 113 million, interest, no interest, whatever, you know? But go talk to the governor about the secret meetings that they had, and you have to put it in the broader context of the last 4 years, at least the last 3 years, that this issue has been debated in the Missouri Senate.